Hello, everybody. I just finished up grading some of your week 4 reflections, and I did try to send out a quick announcement at just how thrilled I am with your work. I hope that you're thrilled too. And, there could have been even some weeks, not for all of you, because honestly, we've had quite a few people doing a great job since the beginning. I think we even had 11 perfect scores or something like that in that first submission. Um, but maybe you've even been seeing the breakdown, even if you've been, doing excellent from the beginning and seeing the breakdown of the other folks and kind of rooting for them. And I think we're getting there now. We're week 4. We had like so many people get the perfect score, and the great wide majority of you getting that B or above, 20 or above. And it's just thrilling for me to see the excellence and growth. So thank you. All right. So now let's talk here about module 5. Let's just keep it up. Let's keep rocking it. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can maybe get everybody up above the 20 and, maybe, I think it's realistic for everybody to get a perfect score. All right, let me share the screen out really quick. And we're going to go over here to the reflection journal and look at the directions. So first off, thank you. A couple of you have sent me emails and said thank you for these videos. And that's been encouraging to me because you never know if this is really actually helping. And, I'm getting a few emails from folks saying they appreciate it. So thank you for taking the time, number one, to even let me know that you appreciate it. It has encouraged me to try to keep this up. So I'm looking right now at this week's, and this one is about, in the describe section, a demonstrated sense of self. And then in the second, envisioning a future self. So unfortunately, just as I even think about this, I can't think of a really cogent or palpable example that will cross apply to a wide variety of people, because this is all about the self. And so this is going to have as many possible answers as there are possible personalities. And then when you look, there's also that other element in the prompt that talks about prior experiences. So you may have a similar personality as somebody else in this class, but at the same point in time have completely different experiences. So think about the wide variety of ways that you can answer this. So dig deep in this. Where was a time where you were personally challenged? Because it does talk about a challenging context. And it's usually saying it, maybe think of self-assessment, reflection, or creative work. So where did you have to dig deep? Maybe you had to be vulnerable and really let people know who you are. I can think of maybe some interpersonal classes that I've taken. And those classes can dig pretty deep, pretty quick. And when you start to think about your communication style, it is going to be based a little bit on personality, but also on experiences. And if you've grown up in difficult circumstances, you may not have seen the best behaviors modeled. So now you take a class like interpersonal communication. And are you going to share that with your group? Like, here are my flaws. Here are the things that I could do better at. You're going to be vulnerable in that way. And I'm not saying interpersonal is where you need to go with this. I'm thinking of, I just would ask you to think of, when was it tough? And when did you find that interior resolve, that part of who you are, and apply it to that tough circumstance? So I hope that that helps you underneath the describe section. And then that future self, envisioning the future self. So in what ways have you thought, okay, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this is where I'm going to end up? And how did that help or impact the way that you approached a lesson, or maybe an assignment, or maybe a class? So that future self is, how did you think of this? Now, if you don't mind, I am going to just give a couple of examples in the hope that it might help. And it's not going to be BSU related as the one thing, because it does say on here, describe an experience at Boise State. And I actually have my degree from somewhere else. And it's also not going to be education based. So maybe I shouldn't give this as an example. Yeah, I'll give it. So in my education, I will tie it to my education. I first started off as a music major, and I found it, because I love music so much, I found it really challenging to be amongst people who were more talented than me in every single way. And I had to dig deep and really get to a place where I was comfortable as a human being. to say, I don't have to be the best at everything. It's okay for me to pursue something I love. So how did I have to dig deep on that self-assessment? If I were really describing myself in this context, then, answering this during my education, I had to really look inside of myself and say, is it possible that you can get your degree in this thing, even though there are more talented people? It comes easier to them. And even if they work just as hard, they're better at it when you're done. Can I handle that as a human being? And it took a lot of like psychological work through for me to say yes, because I love it and I want this. And then maybe the envisioning of a future self. One of the things that helped me to get through was I love teaching. I love it. And so at the time I thought I would be a music teacher. And so that envisioning of the future self was like, today is tough, but tomorrow is going to be beautiful. So that future career was always resonating in my mind. And of course, life has a way of having divergent pathways. I ended up being a teacher, but it was in communication instead. Um, and that's a long story. Why? I think communication is a lot like music. So still, the idea of being a teacher, really a teacher at a community college, which is where I do most of my major teaching, is over at College Western Idaho. I'm assisting over here at BSU. That's where I wanted to be. That was the dream. And so it made the tough today worth the hope for tomorrow. And of course, your example doesn't need to look like this. It's going to look different. There are, not quite 100 students in here, but there should probably be, 75 different ways of telling this story. So feel the freedom to really express yourself in this way. And I hope that helps you this week. Okay, thank you so much and look forward to reading your work. Bye-bye.